Welcome to the Ingaged Podcast, the show for business owners who want straight talk on technology, data, and the systems and solutions that keep their companies moving. Each episode tackles a real problem, maps out practical solutions, and delivers proven tactics you can use to choose the right tools and run a profitable business.
Justin, thanks for coming in and joining us on the podcast today. It's great to have you here. We've known each other for so long, just sitting down, talking normally. So it's kind of just another conversation like at the Cigar Lounge in Arizona, right?
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about your company and then how you landed in the home improvement industry.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Dean.
Yeah,
That's great.
of course.
Very much looking forward to this. So I have an interesting story. So I started off selling at the kitchen table when I was 19 years old. And I thought it was great. I fell in love with home improvement. I'm not going to age myself, but it was a while ago.
10 years ago-ish.
Yeah. And then I left the space for a while. And then I liked it so much, my beautiful wife dragged me to Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And I started selling windows again for Reno by Anderson, which led me to a guy by the name of Brian Gottlieb. So I was his finance manager. So with that, I learned so much just more about the home improvement space. But what I really learned was how home improvement financing works. So that's where I started One in Fund, where it's a single application, multi-lender platform. It helps contractors be more profitable, streamlines their front and back end financing process. So we started One in Fund, and we just recently merged with One Click Contractor. So they have a pricing estimating tool. So our two technologies, it's a full end-to-end solution for our customers.
Yeah.
So it just makes sales reps' lives easier at the point of sale, help them get work jobs.
That's awesome. So we'll get them to the point where they're ready to get a quote and then you guys take over from there.
100%.
Quote it, finance it, out the door. That's awesome.
Exactly.
So what I want to focus on today is technology, right?
Okay.
So we're both tech companies, but your unique perspective coming from home improvement, building a tech-focused product for home improvement, you've probably seen the good, bad, and the ugly of people deploying technology. So what do you think is the first thing a leader who's thinking about deploying technology really needs to consider before getting One in Fund or Engage or One Click Contractor or something inside their company?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And since I've started this, I've noticed so many different things. I thought every contractor was built the same, where they were like us. They were like very regimented. They follow a process, and unfortunately, they don't. Or some don't, right?
Yes.
So my wife, Brene Brown, had this quote of technology won't fix the problem. So my take on that was, you need to have a really good process before you have technology come into your business, because if you don't, it's not going to fix your problems.
That's right.
So I think that's the biggest thing, is know your process and have a process and then deploy.
I can tell you firsthand that the best customers we have, we are integrating into their process. We're not telling them how it should be done.
Yeah.
It's always a yellow flag for me. I won't go quite to red flag, but yellow flag for me when a customer is like, well, we really don't know how to deploy technology. I'm like, okay, well, now we might have to be more of a coach than just a guide.
Yes.
But definitely when people have that process defined, things go a lot more smoothly. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, I feel like we're therapists sometimes. Yeah. But no, I love that approach. And, getting to know their business, it's seek to understand. That's what it's all about. So you just understand their business and the rest is magical.
Yeah. So the next piece of it, so they decide the technology is what they want. They say One in Fund is something we want to deploy. All right, great. Now the leaders have decided. What I find too is sometimes they don't get buy-in from the people who are their report, and then all of a sudden it's a top-down approach to technology, and things get there's a little friction involved. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen that, Dean.
So how do you drive adoption if the team's not bought in from the beginning?
Yeah, I think it's really about having champions on that side, right? And obviously people leave, sometimes you had a champion of your technology in that business. Maybe they got promoted or left or whatever happened. And it's now you almost have to resell the product again. It's like, no, this works. This has been working for a long time. So it's just having that alignment is probably the best way to put that, right? Just fully align their team, our team, and it works well.
Yeah, we call that stakeholder change. So we actually have a phase in our customer journey that says when a stakeholder change happens, what are the things that we're doing? Right? We're actually looking at ways to use AI to know when that happens. Because a lot of times when someone leaves, you have no idea until you call them for the renewal, or you call them to check in, or you all of a sudden your emails get bounced.
So you send the newsletters out.
You send the newsletter and you get a bounce, and you're like, oh my gosh, where did Justin go? Right? And so we're looking at ways to use AI, LinkedIn, that kind of stuff in order to really understand when that's happening. Still a work in progress, but that stakeholder change is huge.
It's massive. That's a really good idea. I might steal that one.
You're welcome to. Well, once we get it nailed down, I'll be definitely good to share it with you.
It's funny you brought up customer journey. I haven't used that word in a while, which shame on me. But I remember we first started the business, and I was maniacal of, let's have our customer journey drawn out, and let's find every friction point we possibly could have.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in a while. I think we might need to do that again.
Well, because sometimes I think what I find is there's points in the customer journey that no longer are relevant. Right? Their business change, or your business change, or the software is actually more effective, and we don't need that step in the journey. Or we can use content before the sale to educate them, so I don't need that thing later on. I think it's a constant. It's one of those things you almost have to remind yourself every 90 days.
Absolutely.
Look at the journey, make sure it's actually still what it is. But eventually, employees resist change, especially if it's not tied to their wallet, especially in sales. That's what we find. So how have you helped customers get past that initial, all right, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because it works and I close at this rate and I'm making this much money. If I take a chance on your software, I risk not going on vacation this year. I risk not making my car payment. So how have you guys had to deal with that at all? What are some strategies you use?
And that's a true thing. I think sometimes we don't sometimes realize how much there's going on in their business, right? They could have installer issues, they could have sales rep issues, and we're like, well, our technology is what you need. Like, you need to be hyper focused on that. Like we are. It doesn't work that way.
That's right.
So I think it's really just going back to just a process, right? And just asking them, understand, and having check-ins. I think that's the one big thing is we do like weekly check-ins of some of our bigger partners. And the last thing anybody needs is another meeting on their calendar. Right?
Yes.
We're all meeting to death. But what we learn from those meetings is these little things that sometimes they don't tell us. And I think that's worse. I love hearing, I don't love hearing it, but I
welcome it, right?
Yeah.
I welcome it. I'm not always excited about it, but I welcome when people say, hey, I had a great conversation last night with a customer, and they were concerned that they weren't getting the value that they had originally thought. So I basically did a rediscovery of the whole thing. And from the beginning, well, what were the expectations coming in? Where are they now? Have they changed? You have to have those conversations. They're tough, but they're worth it.
Yeah. Well, especially when we all first started, I know I was excited to tell the world about what we're doing. And, I probably said we can do this, 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 and this. I'm like, yeah, we can figure it out. We'll build it for you. And, it's so managing expectations up front is great for me personally, but also great for our customers.
Totally. Is there an example you can think of where a tech deployment, or where you were trying to get, whether it was One and Fund or back when you were in the home improvement business yourself, where you said, this is going to solve a problem for us, and then all of a sudden 30, 60, 90 days in, you're like, what did I do? Sorry, putting you on the spot. Transparent moment.
No, I love it. I would say our CRM. We chose.
Boy, I think you're the first person that would ever say that, right?
We chose Go High Level, and because it was super cost effective. Literally, we could afford it. We're a scrappy startup, so we went with Go High Level, and it's a fine CRM. There's nothing against Go High Level.
No,
but just for what we needed in how to understand our customers and just make sure we can track it, so we can just see that whole journey of the customer. We had to switch to HubSpot. So that would. Go High Level is probably my biggest learning there. So.
We did one recently where we deployed Notion throughout our business, and being a nerd of sorts, for me, it was like, oh, this is super easy. Everybody will just get it. We didn't train, we didn't educate, we didn't set parameters. We didn't do all the things we tell our customers every single day.
Right.
And now I'm paying money for a Notion consultant to come in and help us organize it and teach us. It's you would think we learn ourselves as
do
tech
as I
people.
Say, not as I do, right?
It's kind of crazy. So how do you measure whether or not technology is actually working for your business? Now, this is either how you deploy it to your customers, or in your business, things that you've bought, like that CRM. How did you know it was time to to pivot and be like, you know what, this one's not working, this one is? Was it metrics? Was it feel? What did you do?
It was total vibes and total from my team saying, this is terrible, we need to switch now.
Yeah.
So it was definitely up in that. You know, but to answer that question, as far as like with our customers, you know, in the lending space, every lender talks about like approvals, which, don't get me wrong, approvals are really important.
Sure.
But a metric that we created and we teach to our customers and how we kind of have our KPIs for our customers is called take rate. So if a consumer doesn't take that loan, nobody makes money.
That's right.
You know, so that's how we make sure, that's how we know our technology is working for businesses, is we measure that take rate. So we're maniacal focused on take rate. And it's really cool to hear our customers talk about take rate. It's like, oh, we created that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, does that tie back to actual money for people too?
It does.
That's important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they love their money, right?
Yes.
I love making the money.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
We're enabling sales teams to make more money, making companies to sell more, because those produce marketing jobs and production jobs and accounting jobs.
Retention, like there's
all
so
of
many
those
benefits that come from it.
Totally. So how should leaders think about scaling or replacing technology? So you mentioned one, when you were going from that CRM to the other, was just like, this is not working, constant feedback. Are there any tips that you could give to people who are listening to say, hey, this is a great way to think about new technology?
Yeah, I think the best of like with that, not every idea is a good idea, right? I think, you know, I think it's one of the things you just have to constantly be looking at your tech stack. And, you know, you brought it up earlier, maybe this was good for you at one time. Is it still good for your business today? So I think it's just having that, just, hey, does this still work? So having those like kind of yearly check-ins with your tech partners and other partners for that matter, just make sure that relationship's still going.
Now, I've never even thought of this until you just said that, but as a home improvement company, do they go through the actual trucks on a regular schedule to say, we don't need, this tool doesn't work anymore, there's a better tool to replace that tool? I don't even know. Maybe you don't. I mean, if you don't, I mean,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I will say every home improvement company kind of flies by the seat of their pants. Some are just much better at doing it, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's a good idea. I don't think they do. We might have to use that.
I mean, well, I was thinking of there's a presentation this morning about measurement and how like measurement's something I think that as people get better at it in home improvement, it's one of those places to get great efficiency. Yeah. Can I measure faster, quote faster, get deal signed, like are all those things? But measurement, like if you're still using a tape measure and a legal pad for measuring, no one's doing that. I mean, some people are probably still.
Maybe that's the differentiator these days, right?
Right. It could be. All right. So one final question for you. Personally, all right, what's one tech tool that you're using now that you are absolutely loving?
It's probably my cell phone. Like,
isn't it crazy?
It is. It's I'm probably on my phone way too much, and I get very consumed by it. But it's gotta be my phone.
Yeah.
And it's an Apple phone, you know.
Of course. Well, you know, it's interesting. I think we are so married to being connected all the time. Those moments, I had a moment this morning. I don't know, there's some sort of global outage of Cloudflare, right? Yeah. And I couldn't get on something. And I'm like, well, this is actually good. I have 10 minutes. I'm just going to go read a book. It was awesome.
So my wife was giving me a hard time. She wanted me to manifest bigger, right? So I said, all right, I want to go to Greece for a month and I want to have a burner phone. So the only people that get a hold of me have that number. Otherwise, I just want to go check out for a month and just chill.
Right? That's amazing. I love that. Well, Justin, thanks so much for coming in and joining me and taking your time and sharing your wisdom with those who are listening.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Dean.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, man.
You bet.
Thanks for listening to the Ingaged Podcast. If today's conversation helped you level up your business, follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Know someone who'd benefit? Pass it along. While you're at it, drop us a review and visit Ingaged.io to learn how to create, share, and measure your way to success. Until next time.